Okay, now we're going to be looking at a song called Devil's Day, which is actually a song on an album that I've got coming out called In the Wake of Chaos. We're just going to be looking at the rhythm section first, and then we're going to look at the solo over the top of the rhythm section. So I'm just going to play to the backing track, go through the rhythm, and then break it down afterwards so you can see what we're going to be soloing over. For this rhythm track, the E string is dropped down to D, which is technically known as drop D tuning. If you want to figure out how to get that tuning, then your fourth string down is also a D, so you can just tune the E until it sounds the same, you know, so. And then if you just hold a D chord and play the whole guitar, it should sound like a D, basically. So I'm just going to play through the rhythm track now, and then we'll break it down. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the rhythm that I just played. The beginning of the rhythm track starts with a descending run, which is played by the solo guitar, which we'll get to later. But the first chord that's held is a B flat 9 chord. Because we're in drop D, we're literally just going to bar the first two strings on the 8th fret. So your first finger's just going to bar the bottom E string and the E string together, and then your little finger's going to play fret 10 on the D string, and you're just going to play the bottom 3 strings and just hold them, so it'll just be. I'll play that again. I'll just move these two fingers out of the way so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, now we've played the intro to the solo with the B flat chord held, leading into the main part of the solo. We're going to look at the rhythm behind that. I'm just going to explain quickly what my right hand's going to be doing. The picking is mainly just going to be down, up, down, then there'll be a gap, down, up, down, gap, down, up, down, gap, down, up, down, gap. And then the bit at the end is slightly different. So I'll play it for you slow so you can see what I mean. Also, with this part of the rhythm, we're going to be looking at using the palm to mute off the back of the string, so it deadens it slightly, so it makes it a bit more percussive. So let me just play it for you, so you can just have a look at the right hand and see what's going on with that. Okay, that last bit I'll just play again. So we're going to play the down, up, down picking part 4 times and then that last bit. So I'll just play it again for you slow so you can get that. And then that same rhythm is applied to the next chord, which is going to be F. Okay, that last bit I'll just play for you again. So you're going to be a downstroke on the F and then hammer onto the G. And then between those, there'll be like a down up. So let me just play that again. To help with the percussive part of the down up bit in between the two chords, it helps like with your left hand if you're just gonna rest your fingers on the string. So when you pick, it's not actually playing a chord. It's just dead. So when you play the chord, if you just kind of take the pressure off the chord and just rest your fingers on the fretboard, then when you're picking, it'll actually go from playing a chord to actually just being more percussive. So it will just be... Okay, and that's the effect that you want to have on the end. And that basically concludes the dumbed down part of the riff, which the chords are the same when it actually picks up. So when you go... So you're playing it a bit heavier and you're still playing the same rhythm. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to play to an 80 BPM click, and once I've done that, then I'll play to the 100 BPM click, so you can hear how the rhythm sounds against the 4/4 rhythm. Okay, on the last part of that first rhythm section, there is actually a dead stop between the turn down part and the bit where the volume pot goes up and you really hit the chords. So that last bit will just be... So then there'll just be like a dead stop. Each time round that chord progression, it will just go 4 times round, literally what I just played to the 80 BPM click. And then it'll go into the heavier part. I'm just going to play that first part again for you, but a little bit quicker at 100 BPM, which is nearer to the actual rhythm of the track. So let's see how that sounds. Okay, the rhythm part to the second part of this solo section is just going to be the same thing what we've done before, but just a little more open and just heavier, basically. So we're going from... to the same picking pattern, the same set of chords, just hit a little harder. So we're going to be going... Okay, with this kind of playing, it's a little harder to control when you've got the volume pot all the way up and you've got a little bit more distortion. Just requires a little bit more control. So although to make it a bit more open sounding, you need to lift your palm slightly more off the back of the strings when you're playing, and when you're doing the percussive bits in between, just to kind of make sure that the palm is back on the string. So you're literally just doing that the whole time lifting your hand up and putting it down again. So I'll just... So when I'm playing the open chords, my palm's actually off the back of the guitar, and then it's in between just to make it sound more like it's just been chopped and cut up. My palm's just back on the bridge. So let me just play this heavier part to both click tracks. So I'm going to start on with 80 BPM and just play through this section so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, as you'll notice, the end of that second section, there's also a dead stop, which will lead into the main chorus of the track. So it happens, there's a dead stop on the end of the quieter part, and then there's a dead stop again on the end of the heavier part. So let me just play that last section again for you, just so you can hear that. Also, what I would like to mention also with the palm muting, with lifting your hand up and then putting it back on the strings again, equally important, if not more so, is actually taking the pressure off the chord and using your fingers to kind of mute off the strings so you can get even more of a percussive sound. So actually applying that to the rhythm of the track. So, I mean, if you kind of time it right, your hand will pretty much come onto the neck at the same time as your palm goes down on the strings. So you're kind of muting the strings at both ends, just to get it a lot tighter sounding. So it's just going to do that at the end of the second section. So now I'm just going to play that whole section again, but this time notching up the metronome to 100 BPM, which is, again, near enough the same tempo as the track. So let's see what that sounds like. Okay, during that last section that I just played, if you notice, actually, when your hands come down onto the fretboard, when you've got a little bit more distortion, you can actually get quite a cool effect with including artificial harmonics. So you've got them on the 6th, 5th, and 4th fret, depending on which finger lands on what harmonic. It can work equally as well. So if you're not playing a chord and you're just sort of like strumming. This is quite common actually for a lot of bands to sort of do that kind of technique where they'll play like stabs of chords or whatever, and then there'll be like a harmonic like in the middle, just to kind of give the impression, I suppose, that the guitar's sort of feeding back, so it's a little more trashy. So I'll just play like an example using those harmonics so you can just see the kind of effect it's going to have.